I tried to take these off from the top and it was impossible, even with the big impact. So we're gonna try and get them from the bottom, but I don't have high hopes. These things were really on there. Let's do this. So we will be doing a lot of little fixing and renovating and mostly cleaning. This thing is very rough. We have, for the most part, everything is good metal. The only thing that's questionable is here, but no, that's pretty sturdy. We'll have to dig in and find out for sure. Let's get this out of here. Making all these brake lines out is quite the adventure. If you guys want one of these, hit me up. I kind of just made them for me, but you guys will see, they look pretty dope. Still gotta clean the inside. And apparently this windshield got beat up by the wipers they used to have. Oh, you guys know what? I'm gonna make you wait for it. You guys have no idea how satisfying this is. I'm gonna just do it like... Oh my goodness. Oh, this thing looks so good. I don't know if it's just me, but it does a thing for the rear, especially on this car, since it's got the white going for it. Ooh, baby's bad. The only thing is the transfer tape leaves a little bit of a residue, but hopefully afterwards we can take it off. I'm not sure what the deal is. I thought it was, last time I put one on the BRZ, I thought it did it because it was cold, but now it's pretty warm. I don't know. I've learned quickly that anything this car has installed is definitely worth a lot of money. So we're gonna take this stuff off properly so that, I'm not saying we're gonna sell it, but at least we have, everything is done the way it should be done, you know? She is out. We have no more random crazy wires. Very satisfying to see. Now the only thing we have left to do is pretty much sand it and prep it and start patching up this whole bay. And it's actually not crazy. I mean, it's definitely dirty, but that stuff is, it literally will come off with just a little bit of a wipe. And sanding it will take care of part of it too. So we're just gonna get straight into sanding it. Shout out to some guy online. I don't know where I saw this, but this is like perfect. Check this out. Works like a charm. Now you just got to get out of there without this coming off. But you know, in those scenes at the store where people are in front of like a wall of cans and you can't do anything but just watch them like tumble over you? Do you guys ever feel like that? Me neither. I started digging, and in these old cars, you can dig forever, like forever. So I did a thing. Check this out. I completely dismantled it. Headlights, I took off the fenders, and like this headlight was on there with like 4 bolts. They're right there. Fenders are over there. Again, like 4 or 5 bolts. It was very easy to take off, which is probably not a good thing. But it is pretty much completely just bare metal everywhere. There's some bad rust on the inside of this radiator support right there. We're gonna see if we can fix it somewhat. That actually looks pretty bad, but the only thing we can do is clean it up for now, and maybe in the future order a radiator support or find one from somewhere, because yeah, obviously they're not the easiest car to find parts for. I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad I did this, because I've always wanted to redo the whole front end of a car, and this is going to be that car for me. So let's start the teardown process. For now, we're going to start stripping everything off. I'm gonna set you guys on a bit of a time lapse. Enjoy. Let me know how you guys enjoy these voiceovers. I thought I'd do something a little bit different for you guys, and hopefully explain a little bit more as I'm doing things. Alright guys, so like I said, this is a little weird for me, but let's get started. So first here you'll see me remove a lot of this gunk right where the fenders sit. I was removing a bit of the glue that they have in between the actual fender and the frame itself. It's pretty stuck on there, so I just brought out a big grinder. And then I headed over to the rust. So a lot of this rust is very superficial. The biggest problem with this rust is that where it got hit, it went into those creases, and so the only thing I could really do is knock it off the top, and so that's all I did. Here you can see also it on the actual radiator support, it went through that little spot in the middle, and luckily it's not very structural, so I'll just leave it as is, paint over it, and call it a day. Here I brought out the sander. So I was just tackling a lot of these hard to get areas, or easier accessible areas actually, with the sander, because a lot of those spots in the back end I cannot get to. So we were just kind of going away. I believe I was using a 120 grit sandpaper, something not too harsh, not too, I mean, it's pretty harsh, but for an engine bay it should be more than enough. I don't mind it. I don't need a SEMA build quality yet. Once we get to that point, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, just overall just sanding everywhere. And then I started to take off a little bit. You'll see me here and there afterwards. I'll start to chip away at a lot of the seam sealer, which is what I found out next. A lot of these spots when I was grinding had a bunch of seam sealer, so then I couldn't do much but take off seam sealer. Like here you'll see I got this I got the sander with a wire wheel, and man, there is tons of it. They put as much seam sealer on here, like some cars do have Bondo on their side of the panels, and so the best way that I found was just a wire brush, and it comes off a little hot. It'll come off kind of sticky, and you gotta be careful, it'll burn your fingers, but for the most part it's not too bad. You guys can see we took it off all the way to the trans tunnel. We will probably have to put something else, maybe a sound deadening or some heat shield or something. We have gotten pretty far. We have discovered a lot in a very short amount of time, and this is where it starts to get tricky. So the biggest issue we're having is that the car, it has actually been wrecked in that one corner on the side where there was that rust, and it's pretty obvious. I didn't want to say it before because, you know, once you say it, it's official online and everything, but the car has been in a wreck. Now, it wasn't a really hard wreck because there hasn't been any welds to where they attach things, Bondo, none of that going on, so that's good. They pretty much, it was like a bumper collision or something minor, but the thing is that even with that small amount of hit, it can create rust, and that is what happened there. So we did what we could. If you guys can tell, it's pretty straight from here to here. I did measuring, and it is completely square. So the good thing is that this whole thing is square and it won't affect anything there. The only issue you'd have is that there's a bit of cosmetic rust there, not all the way through. This is like one of those, let me see. This is like one of those things where the more you dig, especially on a car this old, the more you'll find. So we're gonna stop there. We're going to assess the damage at hand as much as we can with what we have. In the future, if we want to fix the radiator support, we're going to. The biggest thing is that we can fix that without taking everything out. Let's keep sanding, and I'll update you guys in a little bit. Enjoy. Okay, so right here we started taking off the seam sealer. First we sanded a little bit, then remembered, and we couldn't really do much sanding with the seam sealer. A lot of that seam sealer kind of gets in your way, so we started chipping away at it with a flathead screwdriver, and for the most part it didn't need a lot of force. Some of these spots were a little caked on there, and the problem was that the gaps were so big between the panels that the seam sealer, I see why they would need it back in the day, but to be honest, I think the best course of action would be like tack welding the whole thing together and maybe adding a little bit of sealer. Especially down in the frame of the car right here, you guys can see, or you may not be able to see, but there is a large gap there between the firewall, and I think that's the main reason they used so much seam sealer back in the day. Just a thing I guess they used to do, because I know most cars have tons of seam sealers in these areas. Okay, before I get flamed for taking off seam sealer off of an old 90s car, no, 80s car, let me show you guys why. So the biggest thing I think about a lot of these cars, the reason they start to rust and stuff is because obviously technology is a little bit different now. Things are done differently. Certain sealers are better than others now. So check this out. A lot of the sealer that I'm taking off is like this. These things are, this is sealer that it's on its way out. So it would be stupid for me to leave this here knowing that at any time it's gonna come off with the paint that is gonna be fresh. Something like around here, you guys can see it does really well at holding there. Here, like, yeah, this stuff is through, and these little cracks still allow moisture to go through, so it does nothing. All this seam sealer, like, it's so bad. It just cracks into two pieces.
Let me see.
I mean, I don't know if you can see, but I don't have enough strength for this, but it cracks. It just falls apart. So it's kind of like dry silicone or caulk, like for the house. But it's almost there. I've done this whole side off with seam sealer, all the way up here. A couple of these spots, they're not too bad. I'm just gonna sand them down, make sure it's all leveled, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, so now I just need to sand it by hand because the sander won't reach behind these pillars, and clean it up a little more with some degreaser, and she should be ready for primer soon.
Good to know.
Yes. I'm gonna keep trucking away. I'll be here for a minute. I'll let you guys skip ahead a little bit, and I'll see you guys on the other side.
Bye.
You guys guessed it, round 2 of engine bay cleanup. You ready to help me?
Me again.
Hello again.
What are you gonna do?
This is the day 2 of the cleaning the engine bay, because the first one was kind of just to not get my hands and clothes so dirty, and this one is the official cleanup, so that she's ready for paint. Well, first I'm gonna wash it, then lightly scuff it because there's tons of dirt on top of the paint still.
Yeah.
So wash it thoroughly, then sand it a little bit more, and then wash it again, and then paint it. He's afraid to leave the door. There's a couple of these bare metal spots that are kind of worrying me, just because in a couple days we're gonna have a bit of a hurricane, and so there's a lot of humidity, especially after the shower I just gave it. It is now dry to the touch on the main areas, and what I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm going to put a little bit of primer, self-etching primer, just because those metal pieces that are exposed are more prone to rusting, especially after certain chemicals that you could put over it, like probably degreaser. Before too much time goes by, I'm going to give a couple of the bare spots a little bit of a primer, and then we will continue. All of that mess came out of this poor thing. I can't imagine, like, just in dirt alone, how many pounds were in there. Paint shouldn't get up here. This is more for my OCD. All right, and the first coat is set. I almost forgot my own rule, which was laying on the first coat light and then adding up thickness later with more coats, but I saved it before we got too far. I essentially, right in this area here is where I started to lay it on a little thick, and then I was like, crap, I forgot, and then everything else is lighter. It looks already really good. The thing is, I mean, it was a white bay to begin with, so a lot of these spots are pretty light. Like up in this area, I actually didn't lay much at all, but it looks white just because the bay is white as well. And obviously where I put that darker primer, you can see it's got dark spots. As I start putting coats on, that'll start to disappear, so don't worry about that. As long as I lay on a solid 3 coats, then we should be fine. And then here we started laying on the paint. We actually used the Rust-Oleum white, which was actually really close to the paint we used for the whole car. This is actually what I've been doing to cover a lot of the panels of the 86, just because it's easily accessible, it's close, you can go get it at your local Walmart pretty much, and it actually does really good at being pigmented. And to be honest, to me the paint it's pretty much just the actual color. So as long as you're good with the color, the clear coat is what actually gives it the structure. Most of the paints is that way in my eyes. And so here you can just see me going away. First, I tried going to the areas hard to reach just so that we could get those first, and so that if you have a massive butt like me, then it's not getting in the way. So yeah, with that being said, we are now applying a little bit of the clear coat, and it honestly turned out really good. I will definitely be doing this color or Rust-Oleum and clear coat combo in the future, especially when it's this close to the actual color we want. Just got lucky, I guess. Also, I forgot to tell you guys, this is the clear coat I've been using. So it's from Paint Scratch. Once again, not sponsored, but they just have good stuff. So this is actually the 1-part clear coat that they have. On the truck build, if you guys remember, I used the 2-part clear coat. This is their 1-part clear coat. The 2-part is from a different company, of course. And it actually works really well for a 1-part clear coat. You just gotta shake it real well so that it mixes good inside. I still prefer the 2-part, but you cannot beat it for a 1-part clear coat. This is good stuff. It's like OEM quality 1-part clear coat, if I'm being honest. For a rattle can and for a home shop, no paint booth, and for the time spent on the body work and everything, I'd say it's pretty damn good. Alright guys, so that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this one. We did about 3 coats of paint, a little bit of primer, and 3 coats of clear coat. It turned out, in my eyes, great. More than good enough for the new engine, especially from what it was. It's amazing. A couple of you guys may be wondering what happened in terms of the rust issue we had. So we kind of left it. I'll show you guys what it came to be. Obviously, it's going to need to be fixed in the future. For now, we're going to leave it as is because we don't have the parts at hand. And the winter's coming. We need to get the ball rolling on this engine bay and just all the stuff going on with the car, so that we have something to do in the winter. Yeah, so this stuff is amazing, honestly. Here on the troubled area, you guys can see it's a little wrinkly. It could be better. I could have sanded it down and gotten in there a little bit better, but I didn't want to take any metal off more than what I needed, because then it would take away a little bit more of the structure of the frame, of course. But I mean, overall, it looks phenomenal. I don't have any complaints. It's white, shiny. I hope it's not whiter than the rest of the car. The rest of the car is dirty, so it's not a very, very good comparison right now, but it turned out white, amazing. We will be tackling this front part, but that'll be different just because that will probably end up being a black, since it's going to be behind the bumper. So we'll do that in a separate video. Not exactly pretty because it's in this situation. Hello, Velma. Hello, Velma. Come here. Come here. Come here. She said bye. So my biggest thing is, I like it when my videos have a conclusion. Say the video is supposed to be about this. It starts off lacking that, finishes with that. In my eyes, I'm accomplished because I did everything I wanted to do in this video. It's a mouthful. I'm gonna stop talking now. I'm gonna end it there. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys. Peace out.